Hi guys, welcome. It's been a hot minute I sat here. You probably will not know because I blog shoot. But I'm here to talk about this Ifunanya stuff. I know, like, Ifunanya's story, if you haven't seen it, you can check it out. It's about a lady's testimony on how she came back to Nigeria and rescued her father. I'm talking about this as someone that returned to Nigeria. I'm talking about this as someone that is passionate about Nigeria. I'm talking about this as an Igbo girl because obviously the person in question is Igbo, and you know why I said that. And also the lessons that even I myself learned. And someone also commented on my page and said something about, oh, some of us would like to come back, but after hearing stories like this is why we get scared. Interesting. So I'm like, okay, let me talk about it. So if you have followed that story, you know that the first thing Ifunanya said in her story was that her dad was coming back to live the Igbo dream, right? Now, what a typical Igbo man of that generation, I had mentioned this before in my video about how my dad built a house in the village, and luckily he also built a house in town. I said luckily because most times an Igbo man will live in a one bed in Lagos or somewhere else, or Abuja, wherever he lives. But in his village, he will have a mansion. A mansion he visits once a year, or a mansion he just doesn't even really visit. But in Igbo land, it's called akurulo, meaning your wealth has come home. So for them at that time, it was a thing of pride. And for a lot of men of our parents' generation, of my parents' generation, I say our, like I assume my parents' generation are not watching this, of my parents' generation, is that it was a thing of pride. No matter where you live in America, you live in Canada, no matter what it is, they always wanted to retire back home, and the retirement for them was village. You know, like Lagos is very fast, Abuja, stuff like that, and America, Canada, you know how it can be, working bills after bills. And for them, that dream is, okay, we've gone there, we've worked, and now we've come back. We just want to live a calm life, you know, that sort of thing. That's why a lot of them also build a house, and that's why a lot of them move back. That's why you hear Ifunanya say in the beginning that her dad was coming back to live his Igbo dream. Most times, I don't know really about her parents being divorced or what. I didn't get into that part of the story because that's not the whole idea. But yes, in most cases, their wives will say they are not coming with them. They don't mind. Yeah, they don't mind. I remember that my dad had even kind of technically moved to the village before he got sick. Yes, and he would come home. At that time, we had all moved out. It was just him and my dad and my mom. And he would come home weekend. Yeah, so even for the people that lived in Nigeria but didn't live in the village, for a lot of them, it was almost like the wives who stay in town if their wives did not share the same dream of living in the village with them, and they will go. But somehow they loved that Igbo, that's the Igbo dream of coming back. Of course, investment wise, like I said in my video, those houses do not appreciate. Yes, you can check Stephen Nduka's YouTube channel. He has even made videos of those houses. Like, they build those houses with the ones that have a lot of money. They put so much money into their house, buy their furnitures, everything very expensive. It's a thing of pride. It's not a thing of let that house appreciate. So in our generation, for people like us, it's like a lot of them are not interested in even going back to the village. Even to sell it, it's not going to do anything for them, right? So yes, excuse me. That was what Ifunanya meant by her dad going to live the Igbo dream. Now, in this story, we follow that Ifunanya went back. After a while, she didn't hear from her parents. She eventually went, right? And again, like I said, I'm not here to talk about the story, but the lessons and some things that I learned and some things that I also want to talk about. In this, there's something that we know is that even though Ifunanya is American or Nigerian American or what, she knew her father's house. And that is one thing I also want to tell people that return. If your dream is to live the Igbo dream, or the Ibadan dream, or whatever it is, like maybe your dream is to come back and retire in your village, or to retire in Enugu, retire in Abuja, retire in Lagos, wherever it is, ensure that your close family members, your friends, know where you are. If you have kids, ensure that your kids know the way to the house where you're staying. Yes, especially now with technology. If you're moving back, even for people that maybe somehow you find love and you want to move to Nigeria because of your family or whatever, as you're moving, make sure that the family you left behind, that at all time, they know where you are living. It is very important. And I know that for people coming back as well, if you're coming back, it's also important that, if you're like an American citizen or Canadian citizen, it's also important that you report to the embassy, that they are aware that, okay, you are here, obviously, right? Now, if Ifunanya did not know the way to her father's village, yes, some of us that even live in Nigeria don't even know the way. I mean, I know the way because I grew up going to the village, but a lot of people don't even know the way to their father's house. If that thing had happened, they won't even know how to trace where their father is, right? So it's important that wherever, because I know that a lady here also made a video about it happening to someone else altogether. So it's not the first time these things actually happen, of people coming back and maybe something happening. So if you're going to be with friends, if you're going to be with family, ensure at all times that your people know where you are. If you're using iPhone or whatever it is, do like link your location to your loved one's location, so that they can always trace you. That's the whole idea of technology. Now, when you're coming back as well, always have this, if you have kids, or maybe your wife or your husband or someone you left behind and you want to come back, always give them that time frame of, if you don't hear from me so time, this is what you should do. Yeah. So even if that communication was going on, because if you hear from the story, you know that Ifunanya lost communication with her dad for some time. She didn't hear from him. Yeah. So even if you want to come back, and I saw a comment that I really like where someone said, I'm coming back, and I've told my kids that if you don't hear from me, so like speak to me personally, this is what you should do. Yeah. If possible, keep an emergency fund. Yes, especially if you have kids, like if you have a family, keep an emergency fund to teach your kids that I'll be in this country, and if you don't hear from me at this time or whatever it is, like have a date call with them. I do, even my dad doesn't live in Lagos, I do with my dad. So I have a particular time where we speak every, to put in the calendar that, okay, regardless, you can always check in, but on this particular day, you must call. So that way, when something is happening, you're able to hear ahead of time. Because I can only imagine what would have happened if Ifunanya was not, didn't make the move when she made the move. Now, a lot of people were like, oh, the wickedness of people, the wickedness of heart, coming back to Nigeria, blah, 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 blah. You guys know that one of Ifunanya's uncle that is doing the same thing to her is in America. And this is one thing we do a lot. When people say things like, may Nigeria not happen to you, instead of may Nigerians. And when I prefer when I say may Nigerians not happen to you, it makes me reflect that I am a Nigerian. So if people are saying may Nigerians not happen to me, who am I? What do I represent? Can I be trusted? If someone gives you money to do a project for them, do you carry it on well? Yeah, because those uncles and aunties that are doing those things to her, they are human beings, right? They are people that the father grew up with, people that the father trusted. Because a lot of people were like, don't trust anybody. It's kind of hard. Let's face it, that could happen to anybody. That could have been your wife. That could have, we've seen stories of insurance fraud, of, wife unlifing husband because of insurance, husband unlifing wife, things like that. So when something happens and we're changing the narrative to, oh, this is why we can't come back, instead of this is how we should take measure. I always tell people that say that, trust me, you were never planning to come back in the first place, and it is okay. So my point is that Ifunanya's uncle and auntie, them being in Nigeria, had nothing to do with their character. It was not about, oh, Nigerians, they could have been anywhere. A wicked person is a wicked person. A kind person is a kind person. That's why sometimes when we travel abroad, if we have bad character, the bad character still takes us abroad. The only thing that happens is things that because of consequence, maybe you know that, oh, if you throw something on the road, you can get arrested. But in terms of your bad character, there's a channel I follow here that pops up sometimes and talks about things. And I saw that a woman was literally crying. A Nigerian like herself duped her, a fellow Nigerian, not here, in the UK. Both of them are in the UK. So if we don't address the real issues of how, family entitlement, because sometimes all this wickedness starts from entitlement. We're very, entitled to someone else's thing, like someone else's property. Oh, he has finished working in America, or he has finished enjoying America. Now he wants to come here now, and blah, 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 blah. And also, like, when I talk about, like, the things we learned, it's about also what you teach your kids. I remember when I spoke about black tax here, and I said it starts from when you're young. For a lot of African parents, even though they don't live here, they train the same way. Your child is with you abroad, one of your kids are playing with something, and then the other kid wants it automatically. Oh, you're the younger one, you're the senior one, give it to them. Those kind of training. And that's why people start getting entitled. Yeah, it's someone's birthday, it's your brother's birthday, but no, you have to also dress up and blow the candle just so that you're not angry. And parents let it slide. I'm like, oh yeah, I know a lady did a whole video, sorry if this is everywhere, but it's just like, as I remember, when something is not scripted, it's as you remember. Did a video yesterday talking about what a 10-year-old should do, how she should take care of herself and everything. I was like, I agree. But I don't agree with the part where you said that a 10-year-old should take care of her younger ones. I'm like, what? I have a 10-year-old, she's still trying to figure out her own self. Why would she be responsible for her younger ones? And like she was saying that those are what like true Africans do. I'm like, you see, that's where it starts. That's where black tax and all starts. And when that thing is no more coming there, people now get entitled. That's why someone will be so wicked to do that to their brother. So when people are saying don't trust, yes, but let's face it, can you blame him for trusting someone that he grew up with? Which brings me to the next one, is that please, for people that are also coming back, especially if you've left this country a long time ago, there's something I do, for me, is a rule. The people you left are not the same. People have grown, people have become, some are better, some are worse. It doesn't even matter if you grew up with them. Always protect yourself. I love you, sign this. Oh, this is my friend for 30 years. I've known him forever. It's easy for us to do business. Good, sign this. I know someone that can never dupe me, instead of doing things the right way by calling a professional lawyer or getting an agent to like buying yours. You say, no, I have a family member. That's why you hear stories of people trusting their family members, to build for them, and they come back and they don't see anything. It's not the fact that they trusted their family member. It's because they did it off book. Because I can trust my family member, but you know what I'm going to do? I love you, sign it, and I'll treat it like any other business. That means because we have a signature, because we have a document, if you don't deliver what you're supposed to deliver, I will take you to court. Know where people are in their life. Don't just assume that, because, for Ifunanya, that like this is where he go. For him to go and stay there, that means they've all been talking even while he was there. Don't assume that those people you left behind are still the same. No, that's why I say, one, you must, what I learned in that film, I said film, it's not even a movie, but it felt like a movie. By the way, Ifunanya should make this a movie, because I've seen it in movies, but I've never seen it from this point of view. And you know why that thing was serious? Because, a lot in Igbo land, right, they will say things like, if you not have a boy, you will see people have 7 kids because they are looking for a boy. Ifunanya proved that. Igbo people say, why be fair? Meaning a woman is something. That girl, she pulled her weight. Oh my God. Like, I was listening to her story, I was shaking. The wisdom. For me, it was the wisdom. Because if you listen to that story, you know that the first time she came, she saw her dad, she spoke to her dad. The love. See, that love and connection, guys, if you have kids, love your kids and take care of your kids. What I felt there was, it was love that made Ifunanya's dad saw her and spoke to her, recognized her, regardless of anything that is happening. And that girl leaving that night was the best thing. But a lot of people listen to the story. If it's me, heaven will let loose. Sometimes, akonuche, wisdom. You use wisdom. A lot of us are in situations because we did not handle something with wisdom. You need wisdom. Emotional intelligence is important to teach your kids. People are saying, if it's me, the moment I saw my parents, I'll kick down that place. If Naya is in a village, strangers, she doesn't know these people. She doesn't live here. It's late. Where would she have carried her father to that night? But what she did was that she ensured that she saw her dad and she saw him alive, and the villagers were with her. So that no matter what happens, I've seen, because if she didn't see the dad, they would have insisted that the dad was in Abuja. Thank God for that woman that told her, no, your father is here. And she insisted and she waited. So her mission was simple. I need to set my eyes on my dad. Because if she did not see her dad, they would have carried on the story, probably did something to her dad. But she's seeing her dad. Then people saying, oh, she would have carried her dad that way. To where? No, to where? A man that is not well, that can barely do anything, then they will now change the story to that they were taking care of the dad, and now she has come to carry the dad, and look at what happened. How she acted there, I was like, this is parenting 101. Her parents taught her wisdom, because that was the best way to handle that situation. So I'm saying this for the people that were saying, hey, would have let loose, I'd have carried my father immediately. And go where? How? She was in the village, remember? It's not like she was in town. She was in the village. At this point, she doesn't even know who to trust. She said she had to go to the hospital, and she had to go to the hotel, and she didn't even tell anybody where she was. Another wise thing to do, because at that time, she didn't even know who to trust. Another thing, again, I love about that story is that, people pick and choose. With something powerful like that happened, people decide to say, oh, Igbo people are wicked. This keeps happening. This is da 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 da. Why me? I was watching it, and I was listening to her story, and all I could see was, wow, strangers. At least at that time, yes, they are all from the same village, but I call them strangers because she did not know them. They did not know her. All she needed to do was identify herself and tell them that her father was there, and the villagers stood. The boys camped there that night. They were calling her, they were giving her information, but some people chose not to see that part. And that is that unity that I've always spoken about in Nigeria, that I love so much about our people. I say it, 2 Nigerians will hurt you, 10 more will pick you up. I keep saying it. Like, the fact that they came out there, Ifunanya would not have been able to do that without the help of people she did not know. They stood, like, go and listen to the way she said that story, especially for the people who decided not to listen to that part, that were more focused on, oh, that's why people are wicked. Igbo people turn this into a tribe thing. When there's a message here, there's a lesson here, it could have happened anywhere. This thing happens every day. We've heard stories of people that came back and somehow it happens every other day. But the unity, the way those guys in the village, they stood by her, the way they even helped her to break the distance. Even the police, yes, even the police, when she went to the police, if she wasn't recording it, we would not believe when the police was like, we need order, because a lot of people were like, oh, if you are broken in, because we're used to the anyhowness of the country, you feel like you can just break into someone's house. No, it could be something else. But this time around, they're like, we have given you a chance, we are going there, and they stood by her. People didn't remember that. People didn't remember the best friend that was there. So, watching this, especially as someone that has 3 girls, I learned a lot. Teaching your kids what to do a lot of us will not have known what to do in that situation. Sometimes it's like when I saw online, people were saying, hey, I was like, no wonder. Because you wouldn't have even known how to handle this. But that girl was wise enough, and every step, the way she handled it. And guys, again, what am I going to say about, there's something that happens with people not, take care of your kids. That's what I want to say. If you have kids, except you don't have kids and you're not planning to have kids, if you have kids, take care of your kids. There's something they do a lot in my side, because I'm Igbo. They do this thing where they believe a lot that their extended, like their kids and their wife are their extended family, and that their brothers and sisters are their family. I don't know if you guys get what I mean. So most cases you see there are a lot of rich Igbo men that have passed, and their kids are suffering because they used their brothers and all that for their beneficiary, and those people disappointed them, and their kids are now suffering even though they had rich fathers, their kids and their wives. So this is not about Japa or no Japada or what. This is about us training kids and ourselves learning to be better people. That is the truth. Because if your eye is not in someone else's thing, even if the person is building a mansion, you will not be there. But if we lose the story of this message, it will keep happening. Because, like I said, there are lots of stories there, how to train your kids, people that even want to come back. Sometimes it could be a holiday. You might decide that you're going for a 3-month holiday in Nigeria, in Ghana, and you make sure the ones you trust at every point in time that they know where you are. Make sure you give them instruction on when to act. Yes, make sure you give them instruction like when to act. Like if you don't hear from me at certain, this is when you should raise, alarm. So anyway, that was a really brave girl. And like I said, for the person that said, oh, after hearing the Ifunanya story, things like that make people not to come back, it's a shame. Because if you really wanted to come back, that story will not, because there are good people everywhere in the world and there are bad people. Like I said, those villagers that stood by her, they took over those 2 people. Like it was 2 wicked people versus an entire village of youths that rallied around her. Anyway, let me know in the comment section if you've heard the story, what you think about it, and most importantly, what was your takeouts? Thank you so much. My name still remains Serah Donald. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, comment, like, and share, all that great stuff.